As we speak here on Sky News. Let's talk about what is unfolding here in Downing Street this afternoon and the wider context to it all, of which those local election results definitely feed in. Let's speak to political commentator and former Labour advisor James Matthewson. James, as Sam so eloquently put it earlier on, our deputy political editor, Sam Coates, the Prime Minister seems to many to have his fingers in his ears to the inevitable at the moment. What's your view?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Sarah Jane. He's not the only one either, by the way. Can I just say today, I mean, your coverage has been excellent. Everybody is watching you. I've had texts from all around the kind of political circles and media circles. Everyone's glued to your coverage. And you're rightly so. These people with their fingers in their ears aren't just the Prime Minister. They're the people coming out to support him. You heard Tom Baldwin before. You heard Lionel from the FT, right? These people need to get out of London and take their fingers out their ears because, frankly, it's done. It's over. It's dusted. It's just a matter of time. And Keir Starmer is sat in that building behind you, not because of his own abilities, but because of other people's lack of courage and ability to move or put their own or get their own ducks in a row. You've got Andy Burnham wandering around central London somewhere. No one seems to know where he is at the moment. And, you know, all of these kind of rumours and talk of the fact that he could be the person, the king in the north, coming down south to try and settle this is madness, because we know that process is convoluted and difficult for him to get involved. But obviously, it's not just him. There are people there waiting in the wings who fancy themselves a go of it. And those are the people who will not want to have their fingers in the murder weapon. So right now, we're just locked in this stalemate.
Yeah, I mean, you put it so succinctly, you're right, in terms of the local election results. I've spoken about this with many contributors today. We could see that coming. I'm sure the Labour Party could see that coming, but there seems to be this sense of disorganisation at the moment. And the bigger question, is it Sir Keir Starmer who is the problem, or is it the Labour Party and either their lack of results or their lack of clear, distinct messaging about what they are doing to change people's lives? You know, what is it that's at fault here in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, put it this way, Sarah Jane, when it comes to those local elections, I mean, I'm up in Scotland. It is a little bit different. I'm in Edinburgh now. But the fact that I'm on as a Labour voice today and I didn't even vote for them the other day, I couldn't bring myself to vote for them. That tells you everything that you need to know. And people will say, Keir Starmer's allies will say this is factional. It's about the left kicking up a fuss, about the socialist campaign group. I do not care about any of that. I don't care about any of those people. I don't care about any of the factions. This is about trying to have a progressive force in British government, of which the Labour Party is the only current one in government, right, that I think can keep a government. But every single day that Keir Starmer languishes in Downing Street is another day that majority wastes away. And this is just a tale of wasted opportunity. And I mean, you can probably tell by the fact that I'm animated right now, Sarah Jane, but I'm frustrated by this because I campaigned, many people campaigned for, you know, over a decade to get these people elected and to get them in that building behind you. And so that change could happen, real change in people's lives. And we haven't seen that. But even more so than that, we have the threat of reform. And I believe that's an anti-democratic threat. I don't trust Nigel Farage with the democracy of this country. I really don't. But every day that Keir Starmer wastes away and doesn't move aside or doesn't set out a timeline for someone else to take the reins, that's another day that Nigel Farage benefits from. And we just can't let that happen as progressives.
It's Sam Coates. I can hear the frustration in your voice, and many Labour MPs would agree with you. But do you think that the Labour Party is ready? Because they're about to break everything, right? Things are going to be pretty smashed up by forcing a leadership contest. It's not entirely clear that if you break it, you're going to be able to put it all back together again afterwards. Isn't what's about to happen the unleashing of factional tensions within the Labour Party, who are going to spend months tearing themselves apart at a point where we're facing high inflation, turmoil overseas, domestic problems, that none of the big policy challenges of the UK are going to be fixed? Sure, Keir Starmer isn't great, but do you think the Labour movement is ready for essentially plunging the country into chaos?
You know, you're right, Sam. You raised a good point. It's a roll of the dice. That's what it is. It's a risk. And what you've described as possibly happening could happen. But the risk, you take a risk when you don't have an alternative or an option. All these people...
Chuka Ramuna, are you going to be Prime Minister?
Did you get an answer?
You just saw Chakramuna, the former MP, one-time Labour MP, and then after that, he was an independent, part of Change UK. Not a political figure these days. Now he is...
In terms of a Labour leader at one point, wasn't he? Very much a star of the party
just
for that.
Just after the Brexit referendum, he was going to be... He was one of the contenders for Prime Minister. He nearly launched his own leadership bid, and here he is at a point of Labour turmoil, walking into number 10. But as he just said to me, no, he's not going to be Prime Minister.
Just visiting. What a time. Even he must have thought, oh, gosh, going into number 10. I'm going to bring James back in there for a moment. James, you talked about with Sam there, you know, this risk, if it does come to a leadership contest, this roll of the dice, who would you take a risk on?
For me, in the PLP currently, it's only Angela Rayner. And this is, when people will say, oh, predictable, Northerners looking out for Northerners, right? But it needs to be someone who is connected to the wider Labour movement, right? The reason we have lost direction with this government, the reason it is rudderless, is because they've totally disconnected from the wider movement that the Labour Party was set up to represent. And I'm not just talking about, you know, having left-wing socialists and all the rest. I've been very critical of the issues made during the Corbyn project in those years. What needs to happen now is someone who can unify and who can communicate to communities without looking like they're aping reform or chasing them or trying to follow the far right, because that hasn't worked for Keir Starmer. He's got egg on his face, and now he's trying to appeal to the left whilst attacking Zach Polanski. It makes no sense, right? And I appeal to everyone when I say this, and I know there's people in the Prime Minister's team, if not the Prime Minister himself, watching this, but at the end of the day, they need to clear the way so that progress can be made. The only beneficiary is Nigel Farage, and we really are risking, in my mind, a threat to British democracy if we don't.
OK, James, thank you so much for your contribution this afternoon. Good to have your passion on. That's something that two ministers who resigned today, Jess Phillips and Alex Davies-Jones, have talked about, you know, words, not actions. Where's the fire from the Prime Minister? That has been a criticism of those who are not backing him. Sam, I want to just bring you this. A planned meeting between the Prime Minister and union leaders today has been cancelled. Leaders of the unions affiliated to Labour, the so-called Tulo group, had been invited to Downing Street for a late afternoon meeting, but a few hours before it was due to be held, the meeting was cancelled.
Yeah, I knew about this yesterday. Sharon Graham from from Unite, the heads of the GMB, other Labour-affiliated unions, all expecting to go in there. It was never going to be a pleasant meeting for Keir Starmer. A lot of them have been very critical, but, you know, frankly,